Okay, my name is Father Augustine Arewaudo. I'm originally from Nigeria, southeast Nigeria in West Africa. I grew up in a very Catholic family. My parents were both Catholics. My dad passed away the year I graduated from high school. My mom is still with us. Um, she's older now, and so she's having a lot of health issues. But we're still glad to have her. Um, and she played a huge role in my vocation, my journey, Christian journey, from when I was born to after my dad passed. Um, she had a big influence in me being able to decide to go to the seminary. Uh, when my dad passed, the day my dad passed was on a Saturday, and the next Sunday morning, my mom took all of us. We went to Mass. Uh, that stuck with me, that stayed with me, that spoke to me about the value of the Eucharist and the Mass and the sacraments. And this was before I entered the seminary. So that was very helpful. Um, my oldest sister is a nun, and my aunt also is a nun. And we do have priests and seminarians coming to our house all the time. My dad was a catechist, like a pastoral assistant at the parish. The same, my mom was also, and my dad taught in a Catholic school. Yeah, he was the headmaster, as they called him, the principal. Um, so yeah, I started seminary 2 years after I graduated from high school. And I started my training with the Sunshine Fathers in Nigeria, studied philosophy, went through novitiate training, uh, and then studied theology. And it didn't work straight, didn't work the way I planned it. God had other plans. So I was effectively kicked out of the formation. And as God will have it, it almost reminds me the story of Joseph when he was sold to Egypt, from getting in trouble to getting where God wants him to go. So getting kicked out helped me to reach out to other friends, one of whom was a priest from Nigeria who was ordained in the Diocese of Savannah in Georgia. And he contacted his bishop, and his bishop invited me to the States in 2008. And that was how my vocation kind of was rekindled after my rough journey in Nigeria. Uh, so when I got to the States in 2008, I spent some time with the Diocese of Savannah, like a year. I went to the seminary at St. Vincent Seminary in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and from there applied to the Diocese of Austin, and they invited me, and I came over in 2009. And in 2010, I went back to the seminary to study for the Diocese of Austin, and that was in Houston, St. Mary's Seminary. So that was where I graduated. I was ordained a deacon in 2013, in 2012, and then a priest in 2013. So I've been a priest for 8 years now. I've been assigned to many parishes. I was assigned, the first assignment was St. Vincent de Paul in Austin, a wonderful parish, wonderful people. I was there for a year, and then I got moved to St. Louis here in Waco, a great parish, wonderful friends. I still have a lot of friends there. I was there for about 2.5 years, and then I got moved to San Jose in Austin. That was kind of like a transitional movement because I wasn't there for long. I was there for like 4 months, and then I got moved again. I've been on tour. I got moved again to St. Mary's in College Station, Texas A&M, Aggie Land. So that was my experience with campus ministry. That was where it started. At first, I didn't know I could do it. I was scared and very insecure, but eventually I kind of fell in love with the students, fell in love with the ministry, and I had a great time there. So this was in 2017, and I was there for 2 years. And in 2019, I was reassigned to St. Peter here in Waco, at the Student Center here at Baylor. And I got here in 2019 and started my ministry. It's a different community from St. Mary's. There's a lot of intellectual background, intellectual wealth, a lot of conversions from Baylor through the great text classes. A lot of students who are passionate, who love their faith, who want to understand their faith. There's a lot of desire, strong desire to know their faith. So that's a very good thing. And then there's the St. Gregory Society, which is part of what makes St. Peter's so unique and lively and active. They have a huge contribution here at St. Peter's. And through ministry, through participation in the family life, through social events, through retreats, through many different ways, but most especially through the Latin Mass, the Tridentine Mass, which I have come to learn. At first, I was scared. Hadn't done it before, didn't quite understand it. Was strange to me, but eventually Dr. Mike Foley, who's the leader of St. Gregory Society, he's very knowledgeable. He was able to explain a lot of things to me, all the symbolisms, all the different individual parts of the Mass. The ritual is rich, very rich. It tells a story. It tells the story of salvation, of how the church began and all the journey over the years through the Old Testament until now, the time of Jesus. So there's a lot of symbolism in there that could be overwhelming, but at the same time, very rich. The more you get to know about them, the more you get to understand the Mass, and the more you get to draw from the spiritual wealth that it contains. So I'm still learning how to celebrate the Mass because it's still new to me. It's still complicated. There's a lot of details that I try to remember. It's a little hard sometimes, but it's such a gift to have Dr. Mike Foley always present to guide me through it.
What would you say to a priest who is curious about the traditional Latin Mass?
I would say take time to learn about it and take it one step at a time. Do not worry about making mistakes because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Well, the people say we don't even notice. That's true. But on the part of the priest too, the priest also wants to know this is the Mass. You want to be reverent and do it the right way. So there is also that pressure. But just take time to learn about it, practice if it's possible on your own. Try to celebrate as often as you can. But it's very rich. That's one thing I can assure you that it's very rich. Yeah, very spiritually rich.
Has it changed you?
It has changed me in a number of different ways. One is it's helped me to understand a little bit more about the history of the Mass and the liturgy in a way that's kind of takes you back to the spirit of the times when, especially in pre-Vatican II, what liturgy meant, how people saw it, how people participated in it, how people were able to benefit from it spiritually. So it kind of takes you back a little bit and gives you a little more background to the Novus Ordo, where it's coming from, how it got to where it is now. So to that extent, I think it's changed me. I've learned a lot.
What would you say to parishioners who have never seen the Tridentine Mass, don't know what it is, and don't know if it's worth, if they don't have that available in at their home parish, why they should go out of their way to celebrate it?
Um, well, on this note, I'll talk from both sides. I'll talk from the side of the celebrant and also from the side of uh, someone who wants to participate as a member of the congregation, especially for the first time. Um, Let me put myself in the shoe of someone who's not familiar with it, who wants to attend. It could feel a little weird attending if you're not familiar with the Latin language, with Latin. It could feel a little distant and like you it's difficult to connect to what's going on if you're not familiar with Latin. Um, so knowing that it could feel a little strange and you feel the disconnect, but you still want to pray. Um, I think that's one of the reasons why the prayer booklets are very helpful. You're going through it and you're looking at the prayers and the different stages and the responses, and you're able to follow. Um, Another thing is if you're coming to come with an open mind. Don't come with any expectations. Come with an open mind. Try to observe, especially with the things that the priest is doing. There's a lot of little details in there, symbolisms, and each one tells a story. So being able to observe all that, even though you may not understand all of it, but you have things to ask about, you have questions that come to your mind based on what you've observed. So by asking, you learn more. Um, then another thing is you may not like it the first time, but that doesn't mean you can't come back. So just see it as an adventure, a way of learning God, another way of learning God, getting to know Him, getting closer to Him, another way of praying that you may not be used to, and then try to explore that and see where it takes you. Now, from the side of the celebrant, it's a little overwhelming, especially when I started it the first time, because I had all these details, the prayers, the readings, uh, especially the fact that the priest does all the readings, the priest does all the prayers. So it's essentially centered around the priest and his activities and his being able to lead others. And there are places where the priest says the prayers in silence. There are places where the priest says the prayer out. There are places where the priest gives the people the opportunity to respond. So there are different parts of the Mass. A lot of that also mirrors the Novus Ordo. You find that in the Novus Ordo, the normal, regular Latin Mass, Latin Rite in English. But because of the details in the Tridentine Rite, it's a little overwhelming. But what I've come to learn is the more I celebrate it, the more prayerful it becomes for me. So I'm less concerned about the details. I'm more concerned about praying through the Mass. So that's a good thing. So it gets better and better and better.
What would you tell the students who would be coming to St. Peter's in the coming semesters? This could be your last sort of message to them as students who are coming from all walks of life, and we all know this is a very special community that we have.
Yeah.
Would you like to leave a message?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll say, hopefully this will be played when the students are back. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's always great joy to have the students around and have them back, and have them feel this space, this wonderful space. Welcome back. You'll be coming back. You'll, of course, realize that by the time you get back, you have a new uh, pastor, a new director, a new shepherd here at St. Peter's. So you have a new director, a new chaplain. Um, Please give him all the support that you can, your prayers, your encouragement, work with him, um, help him to feel welcome and at home. He's going to need all that. And then secondly is if you ever have the opportunity to attend the Latin Mass, please do, just to see a different aspect of, try to explore a different aspect of the spiritual life through the Mass, a different kind of Mass that you may not be used to, that also has a lot to offer spiritually. Um, Especially if you love to meditate in silence and pray in silence, but in a deep and silent way, the Latin Mass is good for you. In closing, I'd like to say a very special thank you to the Bezdek family, um, James and Michael. Thank you all so much for your faith, for your support, for your example. In a special way, I remember Janet Bezdek, who just had a funeral a few weeks ago. She was very inspiring to me because of her faith, going through her suffering uh, when she was sick with cancer, and how strong she was, how faithful she was in coming to Mass until she wasn't able to. That speaks a lot. It's during suffering that we're able to learn closer, come closer, and learn more who God is. And suffering can make us bring the best out of us. But there are also those who move away from God when they're suffering. So the beauty of it is that Janet was able to move much closer to the Lord in her sufferings. So she was able to witness to me what it means to be close to Jesus, to be at the foot of the cross with Jesus. So I learned a lot from that. Um, so I want to say thank you to you, the Bezdek family, and also thank you to the St. Peter's community. This has been a very fruitful 2 years for me. There's been ups and downs. There's been good and bad days. There's been joyful days, and there's been very unpleasant days. And all that, like Scripture says, they all come together. They all work together for the good of those whom the Lord has called and those whom He loves, and those who love Him. Um, so it's been a wonderful 2 years. And I know that the coming year, without no more pandemics, hopefully we're praying, will be much better. Will be much better and much more relaxed and less stressful. That's the hope. That's our prayer. But we also know that life is always constantly full of stress and challenges and tests. The Lord tests us in many different ways. Even if there's no pandemic, there's going to be other things that the Lord allows us to go through so He can purify us and make our faith stronger. And I know those challenges will be coming in the future. But whatever it is, the Lord is faithful. He's always there. And no challenge is going to be greater than His goodness. So we always rely on that.